Hey everyone, welcome to Lumpia Bites, where we share authentic and no-frills conversations with inspiring Filipinos in tech. Have you noticed how suddenly everyone wants to be an AI? Big tech companies investing so much in artificial intelligence. AI startups popping up everywhere like mushrooms. Businesses and entrepreneurs racing to leverage AI. And sometimes, some of our friends are sounding like AI. What's going on? My name's Ji. I'm a dad, small business owner, and I work in tech for more than 10 years. Like many of you, I'm excited about the opportunities that AI will bring. But I'm also a bit nervous about the uncertainties and challenges ahead. If you're curious to learn more without feeling overwhelmed, or if you wanted to connect with a community that shares AI insights, entrepreneurship wisdom, and leadership lessons, you're in the right place. In this first episode, we'll talk about how AI is changing the way we work, from the skills that will matter most to how we can prepare and stay relevant. I'm really excited to introduce our first guest, who will also be my co-host in this journey. She's an AI enthusiast who took her passion for learning all the way to MIT, a tech guru who teaches AI to global business leaders, and someone I've known since the early days of my career in the Philippines. Moochie, man. Let's get into our conversation. Hi, Mooch. How are you?
Hi, Push. I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing good. Actually, I'm feeling really a bit nervous, but I'm excited as well, having this first episode finally. We're just working on an outline, and this is our first time doing this. So, to everyone listening, we're going to make a lot of mistakes for sure. We're probably going to be talking at the same time. So, we're going to figure this out. But I think the most important thing is the value and the content that you're going to get from this podcast. I saw your post. You took a short course in MIT. And, MIT is such a big thing, especially if you work in tech, right? That's like a dream school. Walk us through your experience, your journey, and how did you get into artificial intelligence?
Okay, cool. So I actually took the course in AI last year. You and I came from a background in tech with data warehousing, data analytics, all of that. So actually AI was like a normal course of evolution for our career. And that's why I wanted to learn more about it. So I had been playing around with Gen AI when it launched around 2021, 2022. So I've been curious about it and I've been playing around with it. So when there was an opportunity to go and have a short course at MIT, I took it. And actually I didn't imagine how big of a conversation AI would be this year. Getting to go to MIT was always the dream. Of course, for this one, it was just a short course. And yeah, it was pretty much a dream because until now, I really do want to still take up my master's in MIT. I'm trying to work to get to that point. But right now, a short course is really fine, and the whole entire experience of going to MIT was pretty. In Tagalog, we call it kilig, like major kilig. I would call it like the nerds Disneyland. Their campus is gorgeous. I learned as much from my classmates as I did from my teachers, and that's what I loved about it because the whole entire experience of going inside a classroom with like geniuses in their fields from all across the world. There were people there working in Meta, there were people there working in Microsoft, there were people there working in Singapore and all sorts of different companies. And you get to learn how high tech they are and how they're actually already using AI and machine learning in their fields. And that was pretty exciting to me.
Wow. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be exciting. I think there's gonna be a lot of pressure as well from you for sure. Meeting all these people and everyone's like specialized on their field, right? And tech, and these are the best people in the world trying to learn AI as well.
I think what I appreciated was the humility in the room because we were all kind of insecure with our knowledge. So we were all like just there to listen and to learn and to ask questions. And honestly, my nose in Tagalog we have this saying that my nose was bleeding because of the very heavy technical concepts that they had presented there. But I loved learning about the back end technical stuff because now I know that, okay, so this is how ChatGPT generates. It's more of a probability thing than an actual, insights from a human being that they're generating all of this text from a vast amount of data. So understanding the back end made me appreciate the front end a
Mhm.
little bit more.
That makes sense. Yeah. Yep. So you're really into it now, I think from my end, I've been following the industry as well from way back. I like what you said, we came from a background of more data related, right? Data warehousing, databases. And at some point, I got interested into machine learning. This was before ChatGPT, is a thing. And then I tried to learn Python, the programming language, but no luck. I mean, because I've been busy on full time work that time, and it's hard to mix things up, especially if you're not using at work because I'm more into applications. And then at some point, ChatGPT came out, and I think it was a turning point for a lot of people. This was like, wow, this is AI, right? This is what it can do. I started following the industry, watching news, research, reading stuff, and I think there's a lot of opportunities ahead. And I hope this podcast will provide value to those who wanted to get up to date, learn from different people like you who has real world insights. Mooch, you've been following the industry, I guess, more than anyone in our batch. What's your observations in the industry right now?
It's a bit of a mixed bag. So my bias is I'm an optimist. I'm excited about it. Being a technologist, I'm really excited about what it can mean. Being an entrepreneur, I'm really excited about what it means for businesses because it's a lot of efficiencies. It's pretty much superpowering your workforce. If you tell an entrepreneur that you can double or triple or quadruple the output of their work base, their team, at a fraction of the cost, any entrepreneur would take that chance, right? So
For sure.
entrepreneurs, business leaders, they're definitely excited about it. There's obviously a lot of excitement from the top. The reaction in the community is a little bit of a mixed bag with middle managers and rank and file employees being a little bit anxious about it. And I totally understand that because what would you feel if your boss or your leader is kind of excited about the technology that could potentially replace you, especially if you're in the bottom of the pyramid and your tasks are more of the administrative tasks. So
Hmm.
then you start to ask like, okay, who's going to take the am I going to take the minutes of the meeting if the AI is already taking the minutes of the meeting? So there's this mixed feelings about it. I am personally excited about it, and I've been trying to get, basically the conversation that I've been trying to have is that AI is going to happen whether we like it or not, especially in developing countries where we really don't have a say on AI development, right? Because the world is going to change regardless if we're going to change. Unfortunately, I mean, this is the real talk part of the podcast that real talk, we don't have a choice. This is going to happen whether we like it or not. And the only option that we really have is, do we learn it now or do we learn it 5 years from now? And 5 years from now, that's going to be too late. Actually, even I feel that a year from now, learning it a year from now, it's going to be too late because some form of rollout or organizational change could be happening already. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. No, I think you're definitely right. I've seen that in a lot of companies here, especially in the US, and for sure it's happening in the Philippines as well. For some of them, it's an elephant in the room because no one wants to say that all of your jobs are replaceable, right? Even the CEO, I mean, it's not going to happen like in a snap for sure. It's going to be, gradual. But I think, like what you said, the key here is it's going to happen whether you like it or not. It could be replaced, it could evolve, it could create new ones. So it's exciting at the same time, kind of
Yeah,
scary.
that's so true. It is, and it will replace some jobs. That's the sad part. And I don't want to be. Don't shoot the messenger in me trying to say this.
The way they say it right now is AI will going to disrupt the knowledge economy, right? It's not the industrial revolution where it disrupted, the blue collar jobs, the one doing the actual work. But this one, it's going to disrupt the knowledge economy. A lot of people from our batch, actually, unfortunately. So I think it's an opportunity for us to evolve, upskill, and learn this new technology because eventually we're the ones who's gonna get impacted by this one, the knowledge economy.
I'd like to think that it's going to evolve to a wisdom economy or an insights economy. That it's not just enough that we have like a boatload of knowledge, and that was our key differentiator as professionals. Because before, right, you and I were both from the knowledge economy, we're in the knowledge sector. We differentiate ourselves by the amount of knowledge that we have, and that was our kind of our unique selling proposition as professionals. But now I think we're all going to be forced to define what our career capital is. So now it's not just going to be knowledge based, but what are you actually going to be able to do with that knowledge? What wisdom or insights do you have in order to solve problems faster? Because I think the demand is going to be okay, how do we solve problems faster? That we take out the 50% of administrative work that your people are wasting their time on and actually get to the actual work. Because the truth is, there's like in the knowledge economy, I would even estimate, and there would be studies that show that about more than 50% of the time of a knowledge worker is actually busy with the work about work, email,
Hmm.
meetings, coordination, passing
That
information from one person to another. That's like 50% of the job than the actual work that gets done. So there's a lot of efficiencies that can be applied with even just with simple productivity tools that are powered by AI. A lot of things can be helped with that one.
Yep, totally agree with that.
And actually, right now, there's this whole phenomenon that's happening in the startup industry. It's called AI first companies. And what these AI first companies do is that they hire people who already use AI, Gen AI workflows as they're setting up the business. So they don't have to hire in order to grow. They just set up a workflow, set up a process, set up a system. And what these companies are able to do is pretty much grow and scale their company with a very lean workforce. I mean, so many companies are doing it already now that they're reaching multi-million dollars in valuation, multi-million
Hmm.
dollars, and even billions in valuation just with 50 to 100 employees. Some of the companies that I was able to research was Copy AI, Runway AI. So Copy AI, it's a 5-year-old company. They have around 117 employees and their annual recurring revenue is 35 million
Wow.
with 10 million users. If you
Wow.
recall, when we were supporting a data warehouse solution, we were like a couple of hundred already just supporting that. I mean, can you imagine supporting 10 million users? It's pretty crazy. And what I'm even noticing is that you have these engineers that are doing marketing. And the way the engineers are doing marketing is that they tackle it like they're creating a workflow. So
Hmm.
instead of like hiring a team of marketers, some of these engineers are actually creating marketing workflows that are just as good as getting a CMO and a marketer. So those are really the unique ways that people are using this tool nowadays.
When you say AI first, basically, these companies, they try to check first if this job or this specific work can be filled or can be done by the tech.
So they're hiring people who have these AI skills. So it does you don't have to be a technical data scientist. You can be somebody who knows how to set up workflows like um ChatGPT and Zapier, or setting up an Airtable, or setting up all of these things that the company would need as they grow and scale. But basically, these are people not really with the technical AI skills, but enough technical knowledge, but more of a systems thinker, a process thinker, a systems thinker who's able to create new processes that's not attached to how the old ways of doing things were. For example, you would know that most established organizations are trying to adopt AI. You're trying to implement and roll out AI with your existing processes. But these AI first thinkers, they're thinking, okay, we don't have the biases of how things were done. How can we do this with the tools that we have today? So they're setting it up in a new way without like the baggage and the ego of this is how we've always done it. So this is how we're gonna do it. And we're just gonna use AI to automate certain parts of it. But these AI first thinkers, they're setting up whole new processes with AI at the core of the entire process up until sometimes decision making in setting up agentic AI.
Let's jump into the million-dollar question. So, what do you think would be the future of work will look like in an AI world?
Ah, wow. That's a big question. Um, will the future of work look like? My anticipation here is that we're all going to be superhuman teams, meaning the job roles that we have right now would definitely change. A lot of tasks would compress. So superhuman teams, meaning instead of like having 100 people do the work, you'd probably have 10. And a portion of that would be AI powered. So you have 10 people 10xing because they of all of these AI tools. And that's really my anticipation. And that's what I've been seeing that's happening with AI first companies, that these people are, the revenue per head count as C suite would measure their teams is high. So their productivity per head count is super high. So you have these superhuman employees that are using AI. And my anticipation is that the workforce is going to head towards that direction. And again, in my view, it won't be AI replacing humans for this phase. Maybe in the next 3 years, it'll be more of humans using AI replacing humans who don't adopt AI.
Productivity is going to be record breaking for sure. This is going to change how you do your work right now because this time you have to work maybe now with a person, you work with a chatbot. It's a co-pilot, right? Before you will do that with the entire team, 5 people, in your group, but now maybe just the two of you. And because you already have like an assistant working with you, or if you're unfortunate, maybe it's just you who will be working with AI assistant.
Actually, and I've been able to do it in my own work. So some book recommendations here, like uh, what's that book? My favorite. Okay, it's here. How to Be a Ninja and The Second Brain, and it's pretty much a knowledge based management book. Meaning, how do you be more productive and how do you store knowledge? Because the human brain is actually not built for keeping a lot of information. We also have that memory and that back end storage, right? But we weren't really made for processing vast amounts of data like artificial intelligence. And but the knowledge in the knowledge work, we have to remember a lot of things. Just imagine if all your meeting minutes were for a certain projects were attached to ChatGPT or a Gen AI that can access all of those files. And now you can query all of your meeting minutes. Hey, what did Luigi said in this meeting? Because he's backtracking. He's backtracking a decision now. Can you get me that meeting minutes, right? So you can query that very fast now, and it can reply to you as if a human is replying to you. So if before the recommendation was that a person can have 10 projects at point 0.1 FTE, my anticipation, and I mean, don't kill the messenger here, but I feel that AI is going to enable us to have at least 50 to 100 projects at the same time, only because it can be standardized and structured. And the role of the human in the loop at that point would be to firefight, to solve complex problems, to pattern match, to templatize, right? Because there's a lot of work that's repetitive, especially in the BPO sector, that we could actually templatize and reduce errors in some way, shape of it, if we were able to step out of the day to day, hand that over and delegate that to maybe a human and AI, and look at the greater picture and see patterns and try to identify, okay, where are we being inefficient? Why are 50% of the projects red and not making money? And what's the pattern of, for example, a client manager pricing down a project, and then the project manager is kind of firefighting because it was misquoted or something like that. The estimates were wrong. So you can actually start to look at that from a greater point of view than just suffering in the day-to-day task of it. So essentially, it's elevating the role of the human instead of being busy in the 50% of the work that's really work about work. And now you can step back aside, maybe take 5 steps back and look at the system and say, okay, what's wrong? What can we fix? And how can we be more efficient so that we have more profit, we bring in more revenue, and our teams are less burnt out. So to me, that's the role of the human.
Talking about fearless forecast, definitely it's given some jobs going to be lost, some jobs will evolve, some jobs will be created, right? But one of my fearless forecasts in the AI world is the bias to action. Because, as we all know, it's going to disrupt the knowledge economy. So it's not enough that you just know. You should take action from what you know. So before, your competitive edge is knowing these things. They're like the source of information. But now you have those tools, and the opportunity there is take action, right? If you have a big business ideas, you can use ChatGPT or your AI to make it happen, basically. So making things happen, right? But on the other hand, in the future of work, if there's too much bias to action, I can imagine that, when you're just new, right? One month, 2 months in the job, if you make mistakes, right? Oh, you don't know this. People say, oh, that's okay because you're just new. You're gonna learn this. You're not supposed to know that now. But if you're given those tools, people might say, you should know that now because you're working with an AI assistant. You should just query that one and you should know the information. So I feel like the focus is more on the destination now, not in your journey, not in your progression that you're learning, but there's an expectation that you should already know this because you have all these tools. It could be a positive thing, but at the same time it could be a bad thing because it's going to be too much expectation.
Yeah. That's a good observation, actually, that there is this bias to action. And there's this new expectation that with AI, you can make a decision faster. And that's true. And leaders need to be aware of that because nowadays leaders think that let's not believe all the ads. So I think the tech industry is an industry and they are trying to push this solution to us, these solutions. And the ads, the advertisements that they have, the videos that they publish, they kind of make AI look like it's magic and that people can breathe and make and take action, right? Just one query and take action. But we do still need those information to simmer in a human brain and to really think that, okay, if this is the information, then do I need to take action or should I just think about this first and then take action or something like that? So it means that getting the information to make a decision is going to be like 1,000 times faster. But we also still need to kind of simmer and think, should we be doing A, B, and C, or should we just be doing X, Y, and Z? Something like that. Yeah. You have that's discernment, right? To be able to discern as well as not just keep taking action like a headless chicken, but to actually discern, okay, what should we really be doing?
Yeah, like what you said earlier, this is a change management thing. A good leader will be able to implement this, the future of work with AI, if he considers like the change management and how this can be integrated, augmented with the workforce.
Yeah.
It's
I
a good
think too
point.
many leaders are so busy trying to roll it out, but that's not the job of a leader, right? That's the job of a release to operations manager or something like that, or a project manager. But the job of a leader is to also handhold the entire workforce, making sure that they're not just equipped, but also comfortable in this future of work with AI. Because mental health, I guess, is also a key concern. I don't have the data, but I could sense that there's also a lot of anxiety in the workforce when it comes to AI because people don't know what the future of their jobs are.
Hmm. That leads me to the next question, actually, because like what you mentioned, there could be so much anxiety because of uncertainty, right? Of the fear of being irrelevant at this point. No, how do they actually prepare? How do we prepare? There's so much information out there right now. And it's hard to keep up with the news. It's been a rapidly evolving technology as well. And you feel like you cannot keep up. And someone, especially millennials, right, our batch, we've been busy with your work, with your family, right, with all these things going on with your kids. And how do you prepare? Where do they start?
Good question. Fush, you know that I'm a teacher. I'm thinking I teach all the time, and you also know that I'm an optimist. So to the folks listening, here are my biases before I answer this question. I'm an AI optimist. I'm a nerd, and I'm teaching. So just know that. So when you ask me how do we prepare, I'm going to answer that you have to upskill. You have to start planning your career roadmap in a future of work with AI. And what do I mean by that? Okay, for example, if I'm a graphic designer, how do I use AI to improve my work? Can I feed AI with the graphic elements that I have? Can I use AI to generate some stuff and then I'll edit it afterwards? You have to kind of familiarize yourself with these new tools because there would be demand to do work faster and to do work better. If it's a three-step process that I can recommend, I'd say plan your career. Try to think like, okay, if AI is going to be my new office mate and partner, how can I work with AI? The second one is stay up to date with everything that's happening. And the third one is upskill strategically. So when you upskill strategically, what I mean, upskilling is like a core, and that's also the reason why I'm learning right now, and I've been obsessed in learning about AI, and I've been teaching. So I've been teaching not just because I want to teach, you know that I'm an introvert, but I've been teaching because I think a lot more people need to know the AI literacy rates right now are so low. Everybody's just searching and using ChatGPT like it was Google, but it's really more than that. So teaching AI has been not just a quote unquote a hobby, but has been an advocacy to make sure that people aren't left out in this AI world. Because again, we were talking about it that it's really a change management exercise. And part of change management is educating and upskilling the workforce. So that's kind of where I'm at when it comes to prepare. So I'd say plan, stay up to date, and upskill.
Yeah. So those are really good points. It's very process oriented, like who you are. Um, but but yeah, I think it's important to know plan because, like what you said, try to understand what's going to be valuable for you. You just don't want to learn everything. So I think it's important to start first with the planning. Try to understand, what will be your roadmap based on what do you think will be helpful and useful for your career.
Pretty much. Like if there are project managers or testers or even people from the IT space listening to this podcast, I'd say if you were a project manager, how could you make your life easier with AI? Could you plug in all of your meeting minutes to a large language model or a Gen AI thing so that you could query faster, you can draft emails faster, you could follow up faster? If you were a tester, can you use AI to create faster test cases, better test cases, and recommendations to the developer? If you were a leader, how can you zoom out of your entire organization so that you could spot patterns of inefficiency and patterns of financial loss in your entire organization so that you're not just looking at it from a high level standpoint, but you're actually being able to use AI to spot potential inefficiencies where you could lose money. There's a whole lot of applications of AI, even just when you're keeping your job. Because work really did increase in the knowledge economy. And I bet a lot of people are burning out. Data would show you that a lot of folks in the knowledge economy have been burning out. And how, for example, if there's like, if before the workload was just 100 tasks and now it's 1,000 tasks, how can you use AI so that you go back to the 100 tasks that are critical to you as a human being?
All right. So I think we've covered a lot today. There's still so much questions for sure. That's why we're doing this podcast. It's just really a conversation, no frills. We don't have big production. Just wanted to learn, from real world experiences, real world insights from people who's following it. And this is one way of them staying up to date, like what you said, plan, stay up to date and upskill. But before we close, Mooch, any what do you think should be the key takeaways from our audience today on this first ever episode?
Oh, wow. Okay. Key takeaways. Offhand, I empathize and I'm part of the community that there's a lot of fear and there's a lot of fear and excitement and confusion at the same time. So it's like all of those emotions are valid and can happen all at once. Like it's a quote unquote it's a bittersweet moment with fear, confusion, and excitement there. But definitely AI is it was an inevitable evolution to help humans keep up with the pace of increasing work. So I look at it from that side that this tool is being created so that I could be better at my work, be better at my practice and profession, while having time for what's important, which is spending time with our families, going out and traveling, experiencing the world. We weren't really made to work 24/7. And that's how I see AI, so that I could delegate some of the heavy thinking tasks with AI and just be good as a human, that the human intelligence would still shine in that workflow. So that's where I'm at. But overall, I'm excited about it. It's game changing. I think that more Filipinos should upskill because it is already changing the industry. And I think the knowledge economy would feel a lot of that change more. We may not feel it now. So to someone in a call center or someone to a BPO that, they're still doing their job, no AI has been rolled out yet. It will change. And how change happen is usually it happens slowly, gradually, and then all at once. So just be careful to not be a frog in boiling water, that you're not noticing that the entire environment is already changing and shifting and you're being left behind. So upskill, 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 because that's personally what I tell myself. And even just with myself, I've invested so much, like too much in my own upskilling, because I do want to have a future with AI. I do want to have a future in the age of AI. And that's why I've been teaching as well, to make sure that everybody has a future and everybody is included in a future of work with AI.
Those are really important reminders. The only thing constant in the world is really change. So, and we know change is coming. So we all have to prepare, stay up to date, plan, upskill. Thanks, Mooch. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Moosh. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Before you go, don't forget to click the subscribe button so you won't miss our next episode. Let's learn together, one bite at a time.